This is the brand new ASICS Gel Kinsei Blast. It's got every piece of ASICS technology that you've heard of, and even some that you've never seen before. But can this be a case where more is more? It's time to lace up the Kinsei Blast and take them for a run. 6.86 miles, 9 minutes, 4 seconds per mile, 133 beats per minute today, going for a nice and easy run along the lakefront in the ASICS Gel Kinsei Blast. Now, before I give you my thoughts on this shoe after just this first run, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that was sent to me by ASICS for the purpose of review. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the ASICS Gel Kinsei Blast. In terms of what we've got in the midsole, there's a lot. This is a 4-layer cake of a midsole. We've got FF Blast, which is something that we've seen in the Nova Blast. It is a foam that I have been absolutely loving from ASICS, and I've been begging them to put it into more shoes, so I'm happy to see it here. There's also something brand new called Flytefoam Plus. Now we've seen FF Blast, like I mentioned, in the Nova Blast. We've also seen Flytefoam from earlier shoes, which I also really enjoyed, like the Dynaride. But now we have Flytefoam Plus, which is something that's supposed to be lighter weight than Flytefoam, but also have increased durability properties. Now, the lighter weight is going to be really important here because the shoe also has just a bunch of ASICS gel. It's all in the back in this kind of like, well, the split tail design is what we'll call it. There's a bunch of gel back here, and there's also some gel up in the forefoot as well on the lateral side. So that gel, it's heavy, and so you're going to need something to kind of counterbalance that or like compensate for that. So that's where I think a lot of that Flytefoam Plus is coming into play. And the fourth thing that we have in this layer cake is a Pebax plate that starts in the back in the heel, and it kind of weaves its way through the midfoot, even up into kind of like right underneath the ball of your foot. Over here is where it seems to end. Now, with all those things put together, that gives us 30 millimeters of stack height in the heel in this shoe, and a 10 millimeter drop, giving us 20 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. Moving to the upper, there's an engineered knit upper, which looks really nice and is very soft and stretchy. To the tongue, we have what feels like kind of like a neoprene style tongue, moderately padded. It's got a couple of perforations in there. And then as you move further back, there is still that knit material, but on the interior of that, they've put a whole bunch of padding in here. And the padding, the material that they've chosen for this looks really nice. It looks very inviting to the touch. And strangely, somehow reminds me of kind of like an oyster mushroom in a way, but it's a very thick amount of padding. And all of this is covering just a bunch of armor to help keep the ankle locked down. Not only do we have kind of this like shiny, flashy, plasticky, rubbery type stuff on the outer portion of the heel cup, but there's also a lot of structure on the interior of the heel cup as well that comes up pretty high. So there's just a lot of stuff going on back here, and it eventually ends in a nice pull tab at the heel. So a lot of stuff going on in this shoe, and that is going to be reflected in the weight. For my size 9, it comes in at a stated weight of 10.9 ounces. So what is it like to run in this shoe? Well, let's break it down. I think the best way to break this shoe down and to kind of talk about what it is to talk about the 3 use cases that I think that this shoe is going to be used for based on kind of the way it looks, how it's set up, and the price point of $180. So the 3 use cases for me are, 1, I think it's going to be used as a casual shoe for walking around, just living your daily life, doing your normal daily things. The second is I think it's going to be used for the gym. So I put it through some paces in that way. And then the third thing that I think people will use it for, and I'm not putting these in any particular order, but the third thing that people will use it for is running. So let's talk about it in that order. First, I've been wearing this for this entire week so far to take the kids to school and run all my errands and do all that kind of thing. Walking the dog, everything like that. And it has been really comfortable. The way that this shoe is set up, it's probably one of the most comfortable shoes for walking around that I've felt in a long time. I've also really enjoyed the ASICS Tartar Edge, which was kind of like FF Blast meets dad shoe. I've been really enjoying that one as well. That has much more of a retro vibe. This one is a more futuristic vibe. And it also, because of all the other things that are in here, like the gel and like this Pebax plate, has a little bit of a different dynamic. It has a much more kind of athletic feeling to it, but also because of that knit upper, it's very comfortable to just do your daily activities in. It's a shoe that I could easily be in all day long. The on-off convenience isn't quite there. Every time that I've tried to kind of just like pull this shoe on, the tongue kind of like snaps out a little bit too far, and it takes some fidgeting to get it to kind of fit back down again. I would have loved to have seen this being a full knit upper with not a traditional tongue, but with a knit kind of entire booty construction. I think that would have really helped make this even more comfortable and put it over the top. But the way it is, it's still very livable, very comfortable to do all your daily activities. And it's a very striking look. And so that might resonate with some people. It might, be off-putting to others. But I think it's certainly a shoe that is going to grab some attention. And if that's something that you're looking for, then you're getting it with this shoe for sure. Now, the next thing that I also used it for was for some more gym type of activities. One of the ways that I'm thinking about this shoe is it's like the cross trainer for runners. And so the way I used it for my like gym use, I don't like hit the gym, I don't like lift and stuff like that. I know I probably should even as a runner, but I'm just not there right now. So the way I've been using it is for kind of my mobility work and also for my plyometrics that I've been doing. So after a lot of my runs, I will do some pistol squats or some other exercises that are like pistol squats. And I feel like the way that this plate is set up, it's giving me a lot of stability. So that way, as I'm trying to balance and as forces are kind of like moving around, as I'm trying to work on that knee stability, the base of this shoe is nice and planted, so it's helping me to stay stabilized. And so I'm not fighting both a wobbly knee and a wobbly shoe. Instead, I've got lots of really firm support underneath, so that way it stays exactly where it needs to stay. So I've been really enjoying it for those kind of mobility strength exercises. I've also been really enjoying it for plyometrics as well. I've been doing some box jumps and also some single leg jumps as well. And the way that the plate, again, is providing stability, but also the way that the gel is situated in the back of the shoe, I feel it makes for a very solid kind of like landing surface. And even though I don't normally love gel because I find it to be a little bit too dense, when I'm doing some of those plyometric type exercises, I feel like it's really great, and I've been very much appreciating it, much more than I do when I'm doing those same exercises in my other running shoes. And right now, it's my favorite shoe to be able to do those kinds of activities. So if you're the type that is doing like high intensity workouts, or if you're doing some sort of cross training, CrossFit, those kinds of things where you're doing lots of very intense short bursts of activity, I feel like this is a shoe that's definitely going to be worth looking at. Now, with that being said, let's take it to the most important thing for me as a runner is, how is it to run in? And I would say that it's surprisingly good. It's a heavy shoe, so that's something that you can't avoid. And there's still a bunch of gel in it, which I also just don't love when it comes to running. But as far as the running dynamics, those of you who tried like version 1 of the Nova Blast and thought it was way too squishy, or are even thinking for the Nova Blast 2 that it's still way too squishy, this is a shoe that you might want to take a look at because it still has a lot of that excitement that I've been feeling in the Nova Blast, but it has it in a much more stable package, so it's not squishing quite as much. And to the extent that the foams compress, I feel like it's much more controlled and even. And so like with a squishy foam, like depending on how you might land, things can go in a variety of unexpected directions. But with this, I feel like it's a little bit more kind of buffered in terms of the way that the compression happens. So if you're landing on your side, you're still going to end up landing in a very controlled way. It kind of like absorbs a lot of those idiosyncrasies that might happen during any given normal run. I think that for me, the way that I could be able to use this shoe going forward is probably not something where I'm trying to go fast. But like today, I was using it as a recovery run shoe on the day after a pretty tough workout yesterday. This shoe was absolutely great. My feet were hurting by the end of yesterday's workout. So today I was like, I want something that's very, very soft and cushioned. And I definitely got that in the shoe today. I didn't really have to worry about my feet at all. And that's kind of something that I'm really looking for when I'm looking for either a long run shoe or a shoe that I'm going to use on recovery days like today. And I think for a lot of people, this could be like the one and only one shoe that they have in their rotation, especially if like running isn't like the only thing that they're doing. If they're going to be doing other different activities at the gym, maybe they're doing some kind of interval workouts, whether it's outside or inside at a gym, I think this is a shoe that's going to be able to keep up with all those varieties of activities while also still being at its core a running shoe. If you're only going to use it as a running shoe, I think it works, especially when you're comparing it to other shoes that are at this price point, like the Ultra Boost. I think that this is in the same weight category, but I think that this, for me, is much more successful of a running shoe than, say, that Ultra Boost would be. So if you have any questions about the Kinsei Blast, feel free to put them in the comments down below, or better yet, please stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, and I'd love to be able to talk to you guys in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?